Nothing quite got my attention this week like the logical next step of the descent into madness that's happening at the University of Pennsylvania, which has to do with the swimming competition, which is going to go to the nationals. This story is not going to go away. It's going to go bigger. And it's kind of like what the left is like. They have no self-awareness.
Yeah.
They are totally hypersensitive about you not doing what they want you to do, but they have no self-awareness about what they're doing. So we got a cartoon, evidently, that's going a bit viral. Want you guys to see it. Denver, can you bring that up? It's our women's swim team in University of Pennsylvania. And while you're bringing it, there it is. But you have to look closely to see what that is because it's an
One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Which one is it?
Thank you, Mercedes. And the object that is on the back of that XY chromosome is an outboard motor, implying that the very physiological composition of that one XY chromosome swimmer gives them an advantage. You think so? You think if you've got the bone and muscular size and scope of a male that you might have an advantage against a female in high school or in college?
College, yeah.
Well, evidently that doesn't matter because in Wokistan, they're winning the Olympics.
Well, didn't he go from swimming on the men's team and then transitioned and now he's on the women's team?
I wish we had that picture. I have it, and maybe we'll cover it next week because the story won't go. Well, I mean, not at Christmas. But we have pictures of him on the men's team winning, and then we have pictures of the same guy on the women's team.
Yeah.
And what you see is he still has the physiology and lung capacity, shoulder muscle and strength. And he said, and when he won, what was really telling is there was no cheering.
Oh,
it was an eerie silence.
Yeah.
And he said, coming out crowing that, and he won 38 seconds ahead or whatever of the next contestant.
Yeah.
And he said, and I was barely even trying. It's like he was bragging about how good he is. I was just cruising.
Yeah.
So this is going down like the proverbial rat sandwich. And the problem is that the other students are afraid to say anything because they all agree this isn't right. If you're going to have women's sports and men can compete, then it's not a women's sport.
Yeah, it's not fair. Like, as a woman, it's just like, didn't we just spend the last couple decades fighting for the right to compete and be a part of things? And it's like, can we not have something? I mean, here's like another thing. You talk about like a glass ceiling. Like, how can these biological women compete with a biological man when it comes to strength and fitness? Like you're saying, lung capacity. It's just, unless they're going to take, hormone replacement so they could compete. It's just crazy. I mean, it's not fair. It's just not fair.
And what's really incongruent about this, I was listening to the Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro, which is, I did that in order to go to sleep last night because I couldn't get to sleep. And it was so interesting, it kept me awake. I was up till like 3 a.m. listening to these guys. They had a great little podcast. And one of the things they said is if a biological male and a female are the same thing, and you could be either one, and it really doesn't matter. And the body has nothing to do with it. It's about self-identification, sexual identity. Then why do they have surgery to change their bodies?
Yeah.
Do you see the incongruence there? If the physical chromosome and anatomy doesn't matter in terms of identity and gender, then why are you having this surgery done on your physical body if it doesn't matter?
Yeah.
Evidently, the body does matter.
Yeah.
And the body of this swimmer is beating all the females. And if you follow this logically, it'll go to weightlifting. It'll go to every class. To women's sports are destroyed by men going into women's sports.
These girls spend their entire lives training for things like this. It's not like they just decide like, oh, I'm going to be a swimmer today and I'm just going to pick it up this year. I mean, they have been doing this since grade school. They compete for scholarship money to go to these different universities. And now it's like, well, who's to say that the entire team can't be a transgender team? It's like, I'm a big believer of like, stay out of my business. And you know what? You want to live your life as a man, go live your life as a man or a woman. But when it comes to now fairness and it comes to people losing their ability even to go to college or losing scholarship money, like that's not fair. So now we have to have a discussion of like, should this be allowed? Should this not be allowed? And in my opinion, it shouldn't be allowed. Or have their own competition. Like if there's enough transgenders, why can't they have their own
there,
meet?
now you stumbled upon what is proposed as a solution. Why not have a transgender category and let transgenders compete?
Yeah, why not?
I say amen. So anyway, after the race, teammates said that Thomas could be overheard bragging. That was so easy. I was just cruising. Before adding, at least I'm still #1 in the country. The mother who spoke with DailyMail.com said the daughter was not one of the 2 swimmers who spoke out. But my daughter called me hysterically right after the meet. Everything that swimmer said during the interview, my daughter told me directly after the meet, the exact same words about how Leah was saying, I was just cruising. I did not do that well, but I'm still #1. That's the swimmer. That's what the swimmers are upset about. The arrogance on the deck, her behavior, not her gender. So they're clarifying. It was the arrogance of like, I beat you all and I'm so good. This was not the team spirit. My daughter told me that Leah had received a lot of understanding from teammates and this behavior rubbed them the wrong way. So the teammates are supporting their transgender colleague.
Well, why can't we just base it off of biology? You know, I mean, this is the problem with the left, right? It's like they're all about science when it comes to mask mandates and, vaccines. But then when it's about biologically, you are engineered completely different than I am. So why not just say, all right, Leah, you want to compete and swim as a woman? Fine. But you have to do it in the biological male category. Like I'm over here problem solving for this. But it's just like, it just seems like there's logical, obvious answers.
To me, the worst part of this is that the nice people who are afraid of being called intolerant are the ones that are coherent. They're the ones that actually are operating normally.
But how could you even take pride in it? Would be like you, like, hey, I lifted all this stuff, and because like Chelsea and I don't lift a lot of things, and you kind of move things around the office. But it's like, how can you even take pride in like besting a biological woman? It's women. It's just kind of like it's apples and oranges.
We're talking about the left. They are crazy as a sack of cats. All right.
Hey, if you haven't seen me around as much on the platform recently, it's because all the explosive, incendiary things that I want to say, the Lance Rants, are on the podcast. Go to lancewalnut.com/podcast and hear the unbridled utterance